You get stale.
Popcorn?
Popcorn.
Popcorn.
You forget about things like stale.
Popcorn.
Popcorn, stale popcorn.
Popcorn.
This is the
Stale popcorn.
Hello and welcome to the Stale Popcorn Podcast. I'm your host, Steven, and with me as always is my co-host, Christopher. Chris, how are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing well, my friend. I've got full of energy. Got lots of energy. I'm energetic. I got energy up the wazoo, as the kids say.
Yeah, now that you mention it, you got a little white powder on your nose, but that's okay. Chris, last week, I derailed us hard. I was ill-prepared. I was ADHD, and you were the
ADHD?
Yeah.
What does that mean, Steve?
I just ADHD.
Oh, sure. I know
emphasis.
Haiti is kind of a touchy subject these
Oh,
days.
indubitably. I meant nothing by it. Maybe it was subconscious. But
it
last
was.
week, you, Chris, were the J.K. Simmons to my Miles Teller, pushing me back in, making me focus. And turns out I was rushing and dragging.
Yeah, you weren't quite my tone.
Yeah. But today, Chris, I'm going to just start right off with a question for you. You can only eat at one restaurant for the rest of your life. Which one are you choosing?
One restaurant? Are we counting like fast food here? Or is this like a fine dine, 3-course? Just
any kind of restaurant. If you choose fast food, it might be more applicable for our listeners. But
yeah, well, I'm not real a restaurant man. If you know me, Steve, I'm a cheap SOB. I'm poor.
That says it on your resume, yeah.
Yes. So honestly, I probably go Subway. Because I feel like you can eat Subway breakfast, lunch, dinner, second breakfast, tea time, whatever it is. You can get some Subway in. And I probably go there more than everywhere else, and I've never been sick of it, Steve.
Okay, fair enough.
How about you? What would yours be?
I'll probably choose something with a lot of variety, like a Golden Corral or like an Outback Steakhouse or something. You can order a new thing off the menu. I'll love me some steak, so I'll go like a Texas Roadhouse or something like that.
Now, wait a minute. Am I paying for it?
Yes.
Oh, all right. You know my little grift I do when I go to the old Texas road?
You hold him at gunpoint?
That's if all doesn't go according to plan. Basically, what you do here, Steve, is everyone knows you get their world-famous rolls. You keep pumping them out. Doesn't matter if it's your waitress or waiter or some random, hey, can you give me some more rolls? And you just stuffing them, scarfing them down. By the time your food gets there, you're all full. Hey, can I get a to-go box? Boom, 2 meals, 1 price. You know
Assuming
what I mean?
that first meal is just purely bread. Yeah.
Bread with the butter. I mean, it's a good meal.
Yeah. I get that. Little life hack for the listeners there.
Yeah, it saves you.
Awesome. Well, moving on, Chris. We got timestamps below for those who want to jaunt around and skip about with different topics. Real quick, I want to give a shout out to a fan on the YouTube. He's been listening daily and commenting. Really appreciate it. That's the username big_day on YouTube. Thanks for commenting. You're probably listening to this. Shout out to you, and thanks for your support, my friend. But
Big Day. Shout out Big Day.
Chris, we got quite the show for you. We got some movie news, and I'm assuming you want to kick it off. What news for you got for me?
Oh, I got some news, Steve. James MacCovoy says Joaquin Phoenix was supposed to star in M. Night Shyamalan's Split. Quote, I think he ditched it 2 weeks before shooting. It was really last minute.
That's a common occurrence with these Hollywood types, man.
Well, particularly Joaquin. I mean, this guy is backing out left and right. It's one thing to do it for some, love movie in Mexico, but not to M. Night Shyamalan.
Yeah.
The man who's made your career.
The myth, the legend.
How could he do that?
I don't know if that would have been as good with Joaquin in that role. I quite like James in that one.
I think James did it quite well. I think it worked out. Daisy Ridley ranks her top 5 Star Wars films. So she plays Rey.
In the sequel trilogy.
In the third trill. What do you think her favorite movie is going to be?
Listen, it would be not only a funny bit, but quite ironic if her number one favorite movie was the one that she starred in, Force Awakens. but I feel like she has...
number one.
Is it really? Oh, my goodness.
She's like,
the hubris.
This is the best.
I'm the best. I am the chosen one. Anakin, step aside.
Mm-hmm. So hers, number 1, Force Awakens. Number 2, Empire. 3, Rogue One. 4, Revenge of the Sith. 5, Attack of the Clones.
Wow. Wow, that's...
yeah.
Attack shouldn't even be on the top 5.
Yeah,
in my
don't
opinion.
know anyone. I think most people would probably consider that one of the 3 worst, if not the worst.
Wow.
What's your top 5? Just off the dome here, Steve.
Number 1, Empire Strikes Back. Number 2, Original Recipe Star Wars. Number 3, Revenge of them Siths. Number 4, probably Phantom Menace. Number 5, probably Force Awakens.
Yeah, I think I'd probably go that.
All right.
I'll just to keep it moving. But yeah, definitely a better list than hers, if you ask me. Francis Ford Coppola.
Yes.
Asked Amazon to develop voice recognition software for Megalopolis. It would have allowed moviegoers to ask Adam Driver's character a question during the film, and the theater's projector would screen the most relevant response. Amazon laid off the team developing it in 2022 due to cost cutting. Now, wouldn't that have been an experience?
Yeah. From what I hear, the Megalopolis will be a unique viewing experience for the theater, but you gotta pat old Francis on the back for trying something new, trying to use artificial intelligence. I got some FFC news, if you'll indulge me.
Oh, sure.
Real fans call them FFC. Chris, I got a question. If you're trying to market your film and you don't want to spend money, what kind of grassroots approach would you do?
Have one person leak it out and hope it goes viral on Twitter? I don't know.
That's a good strategy. But Francis chose to get the masses talking. And recently, this is from Discussing Film, Francis Ford Coppola has given his own film, Megalopolis, a 5-star review on Letterboxd.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
$0 on the expense, but everyone's talking about it. At the time of filming, it had 1.4 million views. That was a few days ago. But he's done fantastic with this marketing, man. I mean, we've talked about it every week. We're looking forward to it. If nothing else, it's just something to look forward to, and I'm excited for it.
It comes out next week, I believe, Steve.
Mm-hmm.
I assume we're going to do the old podcast, give it the full effort for this.
Yep, the old college try. We're going to do it. All right.
I can't wait. Every time I ask my wife, because she sees the trailer when she goes to the movies, like, hey, you excited to watch that? And she's like, no, I have no idea what it's about. I'm like, that's the genius of it.
you just don't understand.
See his vision. There's 40 films / TV shows with video game adaptions in the works.
Oh, 40?
40.
40?
So I'm not going to go through every single one, but just a couple interesting ones I saw.
Sure.
Alan Wake, you ever play that game?
I've heard of it.
It was a pretty fun game. That could be fun. Five Nights at Freddy's 2.
Okay.
There's a something Zelda here.
Ooh,
you excited
I like
for some Zelda?
I love playing as Zelda in the Zelda games.
Zelda's the best character. I love when he gets the rupees and he's
got that cool sword and the triangle force. Yeah. Good stuff.
They're doing another Assassin's Creed. You see that original film?
With Michael Fassbender. They did my boy wrong in that one.
Oh,
Most boring movie. Then again, the video games are kind of boring too. At least the first few.
Yeah, I played the first and I liked it. A little tangent about that movie, Steve, if I may, take you down a little trip to memory lane. I was back in college. I was a university student, if you will. And it was Christmas break. I go back home, visit the folks, give them a hug, kiss, and this is when Rogue One comes out. So we get the fam together, we go to the theater, we watch Rogue One, and the sound is off. It's kind of off, but it's not like unbearable to watch. But, after, we talk to the people, hey, theater messed up, huh? And they're like, oh, I'm so sorry. Let me give you some free ticket vouchers. You ever done this, Steve?
I've heard of it. It's never happened to me, but yeah.
Oh, yes. Done this. So I get our free vouchers. We have a heck of a time at the holidays. And we're going to leave the next day, and me and my brother get some other family members. We invite some other folks who say, hey, we're going to go to the movies because this thing, I mean, we're going to be gone. Who knows the next time we're in the state? We got to use these because it wasn't a big old chain. It was some local theater. So, well, I guess the only movie is Assassin's Creed. I wouldn't pay money for it, but for free, sure, why not?
The stars aligned, yeah.
So, we get, and it's a, 30-minute drive or whatever to the theater. And we get everyone there. Hey, good to see you, Susan. Hey, Phil, good. And then we get up to the, hey, ticket for Assassin's Creed, please. And they say, ooh, well, if you actually look at the fine print on your little voucher there, it says the movie has to be in theaters for 30 days. And I'm like, I look at it, fine print, clear as day. And there's just kind of this awkward, like, well, we all drove here and there's no other showings. I feel bad because it's like people drove like 30 minutes to get here, so I guess I'll pay full price. And this is a Saturday night. This is like $15. And we're all like, all right, I guess we'll pay full price for Assassin's Creed. And it was just like the worst movie.
And you guys had a great time.
Yeah, it's a great time. And I haven't talked to Susan since. I think Phil probably died of an overdose after that. It was a crazy time. But anyways, hopefully, I'm sure the second one's going to be just as good. FFC, should we keep talking about our boy FFC?
Yeah.
He responds to people calling the production of Megalopolis chaotic. What the studios do today is make Coca-Cola. They know there's a good chance they'll make money providing the flavor stays the same, but art is chaotic.
Okay. I wonder what brand of soda he's making then.
Yeah, he's making
Barks root beer.
Yeah, which I agree with the message here because we were complaining about Borderlands a few weeks back where it's like, all right, let's not try anything new. Here's a video game. Let's just make a generic, no real heart and soul put into it.
Like a ginger.
Yes, exactly. Say what you will, he's going after his passion. He's doing it his way, and you gotta respect it, Steve. You gotta admire.
Yeah. Sure.
Shogun. You hear this?
Oh, we're talking Emmys?
We're talking a little bit of Emmys here.
Ooh, okay.
Got a record-breaking 18 Emmy wins.
Wow!
And season 2 and 3 greenlit.
Ooh, boy.
Filming of season 2 eyed to begin in 2025.
I think that show deserved a lot of accolades. Did it get nominated for everything? Pretty much,
yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty cool to win Emmys. I don't know. That's cool, I guess.
Yeah, sounds real interesting to you, Steve.
Do you think they deserve those awards? I mean, there's a lot of shows out, but they kind of swept the Emmys.
I like the show, but it really kind of left me not satisfied.
I know what you mean.
It went to the store to get milk, but it never came back.
Yes.
And that was when it was, this is one season, one and done. So like now that there's going to be more seasons, I feel like it opens my heart a little bit more, but I still think I preferred Fallout, TBH. I think that's the best show that came out this year, and that only won, I believe, one Emmy.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. I like that one more. Yeah, we're just a couple of nerds online, but speaking of Emmys, did you see there's some controversy concerning one of our favorite shows, The Bear?
Ooh, do tell, Steve.
It won 11 major wins, mostly in a specific category that was deemed controversial, and that category was comedy.
Are you serious?
I'm serious. We talked about this. If you want to check it out, our season 3 episodes. If you've seen the show, comedy's not the first thing that comes to mind. And Eugene Levy, he was hosting it. Did you hear his joke about the bear?
Yes.
What did he say? He said, I know some of you might be expecting us to make a joke about whether the bear really is a comedy, but in the true spirit of the bear, we will not be making any jokes. And I was like, that's pretty funny. That's a good joke. Timely, yet timeless and applicable. I think it's a good show. It deserves its accolades, but just not in that category. I just don't, my smooth brain can't comprehend, Christopher.
It is funny. Like, there are parts that make you laugh, but I'd still say Fallout was funnier if you ask me. Was that even nominated for comedy?
No, I think that was kind of pushed aside like the redheaded stepchild there. Speaking of Emmys, one more shout out. Lamorne Morris, you familiar with him?
Winston. Yeah, New Girl.
It's your girl Winston, a.k.a. Winnie the Bitch, a.k.a. Brown Lightning.
He won Outstanding Supporting Actor in Fargo.
He was in
He went
Fargo.
viral. Yeah, he was in the show Fargo. He went viral because he recorded himself getting the news that he was nominated and his daughter was making fun of him. It's quite a cute little
I gotta see this.
there.
I'm a huge fan of his.
Yeah. I can't remember that one podcast that he was on with that one guy rapping.
Oh, yeah.
It was hilarious. Yeah.
Whatever, yeah. I think
Rick
that
something,
was...
Rick Glassman.
Glassman, that's the one.
Yes. Funny podcast.
That was hilarious.
That was a great episode.
Disney Plus confirms they're launching a new channel later this year that plays Marvel, Star Wars, and Disney action projects 24/7. It's called Hits and Heroes.
Now, Chris, the audience can't see my face, but the corners of my mouth are pointed down towards the earth because who cares?
Yeah.
I'm done with Disney Plus, my guy. Like, what was it even about? Superheroes and Girl Scout cookies. What was it?
This, what I just said?
Yeah.
Hits and
You said Disney.
Heroes. We're talking
Hits and
Marvel
Heroes.
and Star Wars and Disney action.
Okay, yeah, sure. All right. Disney Plus.
While we're kind of trashing Disney, Inside Out 2. So
Yes.
there's some unhappy workers of the projects here.
Couldn't
Animators
imagine
were
why.
working 7 days a week with one employee, calling it the largest crunch in studio history. Disney leadership asked animators to make Riley come out as less gay. They put a large part of Lightyear's failure on the same-sex kiss. You ever see Lightyear?
No, and my brother saw it, and he said it was quite depressing for a children's film. And so I was like, I mean, if you're saying that, I don't want to watch. Like, you watch a kid's film to be uplifted and happy, and I was like, I don't want to watch this existential dread of a movie. So no, I didn't see it.
I had never seen it either, but you know my wife. She's a Disney nut.
There it is.
And I asked her, Lightyear, did you like it? No. And I said, well, you homophobe. How I know why. And she's like, what are you talking about? You know, apparently, kiss or something. And she's like, no, the movie just sucks. So, all right, sorry. Yeah, that's basically the sentiments I'm hearing. They're like, well, the movie just... Yeah, like
wasn't good.
It's kind of just it's a kid's movie and it's kind of depressing here.
Also, sidebar real quick. That movie, the Buzz Lightyear movie, what does that tell you about Andy, the main character in Toy Story? Because that was his favorite movie as a kid. That's the whole lore. That Andy grew up watching that movie, and that's his favorite movie. That's why he loves Buzz Lightyear. So is Andy in Toy Story 5 just going to be this depressed little loner because he looked back at his childhood and was like, gosh dang, man, what was I doing with my life?
What was I? Probably so. Pixar employees laid off before release did not qualify for a bonus for working on the film. It felt like an ultimate FU from Disney.
Yeah.
One employee pointed out the irony of working on a film about mental health only to have their health insurance stripped away. Laid off employees couldn't pick up their belongings during work hours as to not make the remaining employees feel awkward. Key cards were restricted to outside normal work week hours. Just a whole bunch of this.
If nothing else, this just keeps showing that Disney is just a fat cat corporation. I actually knew someone who used to work at Disneyland, and they're like, it was one of the worst experiences of my life. It sounds like people are starting to realize that Disney doesn't actually care about them or their politics or anything. They're just pandering, and they just want that sweet green in your pocket, baby. They'll do anything to get it.
And I'm going to say this right now. If I end up dead in a week, I did not kill myself. All right.
Okay.
In case
we have it on
Disney's
record.
Coming after me here. Hey, I'm a happy man, perfectly healthy. Well, not perfectly, I'm a little crazy. Got type 3 diabetes. Yeah.
Eat at Subway every day.
Schizophrenia. Yeah. But I just keep coming back to our boy FFC because his stuff is just popping up. A box office pundit says that Francis Ford Coppola's Megalopolis currently has the worst pre-sales of any movie he's ever seen. Only 0.8% of 30K seats have been booked.
Well, to be fair, that pundit's only been working for about 6 months, so let's.
Yes.
No, I've read that as well. People are not clamoring to see this, but we are.
Yeah,
we are, Chris.
First in the line. Come on.
We make up that 0.4% or whatever.
Yeah. John M. Chu on why Wicked isn't being titled Wicked Part 1. This isn't half the homework. If we're going to split it into 2, we need to make sure the movie 1 is emotionally satisfying, and by the end, you feel like that was a movie. I don't like movies where you leave and feel like, well, I've got to wait for the next one.
I appreciate that. Thank you,
apparently
Michael.
They're splitting Wicked into 2 movies, but they're not titling it that.
Listen, I think they might have shot themselves in the foot there, because a casual goer who hasn't seen Wicked, we talked about that, we're like, do we want to see the movie Wicked? And we're like, maybe, let's see. But now that you said that it's a part 1, I'm like, maybe I'll just wait till the next one comes out.
That's what I'm thinking here. So I think
you messed up, Michael.
He's smart in not putting it in the title, because I would have had no idea.
Mm-hmm.
You could get away with it with the Harry Potters and the other ones, because people are going to watch it regardless. But first movie, don't do it, or else you're going to get folks like me saying, hey, just wait for the next.
Don't do it.
If you throw a John before, I'll watch. But not just the
John Wicked.
Yeah, give me that.
That would be fun.
Now, something I am excited for, Black Mirror.
Ooh.
Season 7. We got some confirmed cast here. Awkwafina. Paul Giamatti.
Oh, boy. I love me, Paul.
Peter Capaldi.
Oh, Peter Capaldi, yes. Doctor Who.
Oh, I thought that was the singer guy. My bad. All right. Chris O'Dowd.
Ah, the IT crowd, yes.
Black guy, glasses. Which one are we talking?
No, literally the only other guy in that show.
Oh, all right.
The white guy in that show.
I was 1 for 2.
You got a 50-50 shot.
All right. Rashida Jones.
Ah, Parks and Rec, yes.
Billy Magnuson. Parks and Rec, right? Is that Billy in the streets, or am I just getting my Billies?
Billy Eichner, I think, is his name.
All right. Same thing. Tracy Ellis Ross.
Okay. That's nice.
It's going to have 6 episodes. 2 episodes feature length, and 1 is going to be a USS Callister sequel.
I don't know how I feel about that. I love that Black Mirror is the anthology, but I do love me the USS Callister. Is Jesse Plemons back at that one?
I would assume, but he wasn't on the guest list. But I mean, he's the best part of the.
Yeah,
he's real good. You can't
do a sequel without my Jesse boy.
I know, majestic, creepy as heck.
Mm-hmm.
Now, another movie that's creepy as heck, Alien Romulus, has become the highest grossing horror movie of all time in IMAX theaters.
Yay.
Yep. That's about that. 28 weeks later, and by that I mean 28 months later, and by that I mean actually 28 years later, was filmed on an iPhone 15 Pro Max. With some attachments.
Was there that much of a budget cut happening that they couldn't afford a couple cameras? Or
I don't know.
Now that you mention it, the other ones, I remember reading something that the other ones were filmed, I don't know.
What, with a Motorola Razr?
And the Razr, yeah. A Nokia.
Brick, yeah.
No, but you know what? I won't snub my nose at this, because if you remember, there's a movie called Upgrade, directed by Lee Winnell.
Oh, yeah.
And it has that guy who looks just like... Yeah, that was filmed on an iPhone. Did you know that?
Really?
Yes. So don't snub your nose at it. Movies can be done with good stuff.
There was a movie called Unsane. I remember being filmed on an iPhone. I just don't know, what's the
point?
Is it just to, hey, this is on an iPhone? Because it's interesting, I guess, but I don't think it's, cool enough to be well, I wasn't going to watch it, but I am now.
But now, yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's just a marketing tactic.
Into the Spider-Verse, I know people, some people were oh, I'm going to watch this because it's all done on, I think, Premiere Pro or something.
Okay.
And I'm
cool.
I guess you get that crowd, but most people are I just want it to look nice.
Yeah.
But this does throw in the iPhone 15 with some attachments. I mean, you could probably attach can you just attach a camera to it, plug it in there? Hey, it's technically, tape it to there. It's attached. We didn't say it had to actually be connected,
Turns out they're using the iPhone as the monitor
Yeah.
for the camera. They're using a red 4200 or whatever.
Yeah.
Chris, do you want to talk about Agatha All Along?
No, not really.
Okay. Chris, did you see Did you see the trailer for The Office Australia?
I did, yeah.
Yeah, what do you think?
I'm not really into that per se. I mean, if you say it's worth watching, I'll give it a watch. Or if the audience really wants us to watch, it might be one to throw on the background, but it's not one I'm putting in the calendar, taking off work to go see,
Yeah, no, I agree. I think I was reading the comments, there's a lot of hateful comments. It's been ratioed on YouTube. People are just... They're like, what is this garbage? And listen here. I think people are being a bit dramatic for a few reasons, because these are some funny people. There's some funny names attached to it. Johnny Burf, I don't know if you know who he is. He's in What We Do in the Shadows movie.
Ooh.
He's in there. He's a funny guy. I want to be more optimistic about this, because people forget how bad the first season of The Office was. Now,
it's pretty funny. I thought, it's not as good, but I still
it was finding its footing, right?
Yes.
It took some time, and I hope that they'll just let this show kind of take its time and make its own name for itself. Because people are like, "Oh, compare UK Office to the US Office," and they're like, "It's bloody apples and oranges," It's different kind of comedy.
Yep.
And if you bring in Australians in the mix, we got Kiwis added into the mix too.
Yeah.
So it's like, just give it some time, give it a shot, give it a chance. People are like, "Oh, it's they got a woman now as the boss," and blah blah blah. I'm like, could you just give it a watch first, and then we'll hate on it together.
I'm with you. I'll give it a chance, Steve. You convinced me. You've made me change my whole attitude.
We'll sit down together, and I'll make you watch it like that one guy in Bird Box where he's holding the grandma's eyes open.
Yeah.
We'll do that.
Clockwork Orange, tape my eyes open. All right, fair enough.
Mm-hmm. That's all I got, Chris.
I got one more for you, Steve.
Oh boy, is it?
It is.
Glen's Corner, where I'm sitting in the corner looking at nothing but a picture of Glen.
Edgar Wright's Running Man remake, starring Glen Powell, begins filming in November. The story follows a TV game show where convicted criminal runners must escape death at the hands of professional killers.
Chris, couldn't be more excited. I love me Edgar Wright. I think he's a fantastic director. Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, Baby Driver. And then you got Glenjamin in there. It's a perfect bloody marriage. And he's running? I know. What more could you want?
Cruise.
Yeah, let's do it. I'm ready for it. When did you say that start filming? November? Oh, boy.
This boy, he's just excited. Busy. He's busy. He's being the man I wish I could be.
Very good. Well, Chris, if that's all the news we have, I got a question for you. And that question is, what you been watching?
Put on the old Netflix, browsing around. Put on a flick called Edge of Tomorrow, also known as Live, Die, Repeat.
Yes.
Now, I'd seen this years back. I remember liking it. It'd probably been, 10 years or so since I seen, but it's still pretty good. Yeah, I kind of stopped getting interested in that third act, but it's still, a good flick. I'd probably give that 3.5. I was doing some research, Steve, and we talk a lot about standing ovations. If you're down, I think we should start rating based on how long we would stand up and clap in a theater for it.
Yes, I love it. Let's do it.
Now, I did a little bit of research. The longest standing ovation at the Cannes Film Festival, Pan's Labyrinth. You want to take a guess how many minutes they stand up and clap?
I'd say 20 minutes.
22 minutes.
Oh, my goodness gracious. Okay.
Which I was actually on YouTube trying to see, and there's one I watched of, I believe it was Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and it's like the full 15 minutes of people standing and clapping, and I couldn't do it just like sit and watch and see if they're doing it. Like, it's hard for me just to watch that. I can't imagine standing. I was like skipping around. Oh, he's still clapping. All right, this guy's clapping. I'm like, this this can't be real.
This is insane. Yeah.
From my extensive, few minutes of research, it seems like the real important movie people sit in the front, and basically people are just like gauging off of them. So they're standing clapping, and everyone else is like clapping. And then once they finally sit down, they're like, all right, well, I guess I could stop. These people are insane. I was looking at the list of the highest. So we got Pan's Labyrinth, 22 minutes. That's the number one. Number third highest, Mud. You seen that?
With Matthew McConaughey?
Yep, 18 minutes.
What on earth?
I had never seen that movie until a few months back, and I was like, that was a fine movie.
Yes,
but
yeah.
There's no way you could convince me to stand up and clap 18 minutes for that. Some other funny ones. The Paperboy, that got a 15-minute. Elvis got 12 minutes. I was also looking because I'm like, which ones got the highest versus the lowest? And there's like a list of films that get booed.
Ooh.
I'm comparing lists because I'm seeing, all right, these are the highest, longest standing ovations. And then also, these are movies that got booed. And a lot of them are on both. So like, for example, The Paperboy, 15-minute standing ovation, but it also got booed. So I just want to be able to peek in that room there. You got like, is it like a protester here where you got one side that's like, yeah, oh my goodness, and you got the other people, they're killing babies, they're, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And Inglourious Bastards got an 11-minute standing ovation, also got booed. Captain Fantastic, 10-minute, that's actually a good movie.
Yeah, that's a good one.
That one makes sense. Killers of the Flower Moon, 9 minutes. Horizon, the Kevin Costner, got 9 minutes. Clerks 2.
Clerks 2?
8 minutes.
Come on now. I need you to send me this link because I feel like you're just joking with me. You're pulling my leg.
No, I mean, everyone can, list of Cannes Film Festival records on Wikipedia, clear as day. A show I never seen, but I heard is universally hated. The Idol with The Weeknd. You heard of this?
Yes.
5 minutes, standing ovation.
Okay, so this ovation just means nothing now.
I know, it doesn't make sense, but Top Gun Maverick, 5 minutes.
Come on.
Indiana Jones, Dial of Destiny, 5 minutes. So according to these people, these are all on par as the same type of movie here. They
must have guns pointed at them or something, man. I tell you what.
Hey, Megalopolis, 7 minutes. It's better than Top Gun Maverick.
Innovation only.
Yeah. And I noticed a lot of these are like 2022, 2023, 2024 movies. So according to these, I think they're just getting a little lackadaisical with their reviews because all the new movies are getting these long ones, and you rarely see any from, over 5 years old here.
Yeah. So then if we're changing our rating system and the benchmark for the highest for like a 10 out of 10 is 22, you said?
Yeah. 22.
All right. Then what's your rating for Edging Tomorrow?
Edging Tomorrow, is the lowest 1, or is it like boo? Can I boo for like 3 minutes? Should we go like negative 22 to 22? Because I can stand and boo for boo, Queen of Filth. Boo.
How about negative 22 boos, and then silence is the middle ground. And then 22 minutes.
I'm standing up. Give me a good 5 minutes standing up, clapping for Edging Tomorrow.
Sure.
It's still a good film, and funny. Tom Cruise, charming as all heck. Then I watched another movie on Netflix called The Uglies or something. You heard of this?
Joey King, I believe her name is.
Kissing Booth.
Yes, 1, 2, and 3.
Ooh, I didn't know they made 3 or 2.
Yeah, I knew nothing about this. I picked Edge of Tomorrow, so she picked the next one. And yeah, I wasn't super into it, to say the least. And it was, at least it was like I had football on. I was watching on my phone, but I was still like in the room watching this movie. But it's pretty dumb. It's one of those like young adult. Apparently it's based off a book, but yeah, it's pretty bad. I'd give that. I'd stand up, boo that for like 7 minutes here. So I would not recommend. Let me know if maybe the books are real good. Who knows?
Very good.
And then, Steve, I go to the theaters because I want to watch this movie, Speak No Evil.
Yes.
I sit in the theaters, trailers go, and speaker's a little off here.
But I'm like, all right, maybe it's just a trailer. Next trailer, still off. Sit there for 25, 30 minutes till the trailer's all finished. The movie starts. Speaker's bad. It's pulling a Rogue One on me here. And I'm like, well, I know I'm not paying for this, but I don't want to sit here and watch it on a bad speaker. So I got 3 options here, Steve. I can stay here, watch it, bad speaker and all, where I can't really hear nothing. 2, I can GTFO, get the heck out of Dodge. Or 3, I can just pull the old Irish goodbye and slither into another movie. Because the way the Regal works is you can buy tickets unlimited, but it can't be within the time frame. So I can't technically buy another ticket, but I can sneak in. So I go through there, and there's one movie that I hadn't seen. I knew nothing of it, and I look on that little app. There's one spot open. I'd be a little rebel. I sneak in the theater. I sit there. Movie is called Am I Racist?
Oh, boy.
I had no idea what I was getting into here. And it was one of those, kind of like Borat. You remember Borat, but it's more of for the Republican, conservation, whatever you call it.
Conservatives, not conservationists.
Yeah. They're all about conservation. And it wasn't bad. It was entertaining. It's not one I'd watch again per se. But basically it's making fun of, I hadn't heard of it, DEI. You heard of this, Steve?
Diversity, equity, and inquisitions.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
These people that are saying how not to be racist, and he's basically calling them grifters and all that.
Yeah.
But it's got some pretty funny, that awkward kind of like Borat stuff where I'm I'm uncomfortable, but this is funny. So I did laugh, but I'll probably never watch it again. So I'd give that, I guess I'd stand and give it a good 2 minutes clap, standing ovation.
Fair enough.
I've had worse movies. I've had better. And then, that's it, actually. My bad.
I was about to say, did you get any work?
not a lick here. So, yeah. How about you, Steve? You watch anything?
I watched 2 things, 2.5 things. Ooh. Last week, I was not able to watch The Rings of Power Episode 5. Ooh. So I watched Episode 5 and Episode 6.
Wow.
And, it's good. It's good. I just can't stand the Harfoots. I just really don't care about them. But I like the Sauron and Celebrimbor storyline, I think. In Episode 6, this most recent one, I think, is quite interesting, and I enjoyed watching that. There's a part where Sauron, does this illusion to Celebrimbor to make sure, everything's okay. Look, the city is fine, and everyone's frolicking, and even though it's under attack. And I was like, that was pretty fun. That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I have a couple of things that I noticed watching these most recent episodes. I feel like the writers were kind of painted into a corner with these rings of power. In the Dwarven Kingdom, the Dwarf King has this ring, and it's kind of whispering and tempting him, and it's making him evil. And his son tries to take it off him. He's like, no, it's mine. It's almost like a Bilbo-esque in Rivendell, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yes, I know what you mean.
That. Yeah.
I definitely A/B repeated that on my DVD player.
Oh, yes, me too. I feel like they're giving so much power to these other rings that they're it's almost like the One Ring in that they give specific powers. One of them turns you invisible too. And so it's is it diminishing the speciality of the One Ring because these other rings are kind of the same? Do you know what I'm saying?
I know what you're saying, Steve.
So I want to know how that will progress, and they will accentuate the One Ring to be like this. Hey, this one, even though you guys got those ones, this one is the ring. You know what I mean? And so I hope they are able to pull that off. Another one that qualm that's been bugging me for quite some time is, I'm going to ruin the show a little bit for you, but whenever they're in Numenor, especially, if something really important happens, say a queen is on trial or she's about to be thrown in the ocean, there's only ever 20 people in attendance. And it's hey, this is kind of a big deal. Why aren't there more people here? With anything, especially in Numenor. It kind of in Eregion does that too. If there's supposed to be a big crowd, there's 15, maybe 20 people. So check that out next time. Listeners, if you notice that too. I was just isn't this supposed to be this larger than life thing? It just, sometimes it feels very small to me, and it bugged me just a snidge and a single pidge. But, yeah, I think it's getting slowly better. But that's all I got for Rings of Power. What about you, buddy?
I got a question for you, Steve.
Sure.
Did you just eat lizard?
What are you talking
It's
about?
not ringing a bell? A Harfoot? Romantic?
Oh, yeah. No, I try to tune that part out.
Yeah.
I just don't care for it in the slightest.
I
In the
thought for
slightest,
sure
as
they
would
do
say.
the, about to kiss, get distracted, but they just kissed. And I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah, she's got a snake in her hand, and I'm like, is that snake going to bite him? Because that would be pretty funny.
Oh,
Nope.
yeah. Like you said, couldn't care less. I think the Harfoot with the wizard is like bearable. Like to me, I'm like, maybe if you combine them, but I'm like, especially
Separate? No,
them
I'm not
by
into it.
themselves, I'm just like, what are we doing here? Get you excited because they're actually going to go to battle next episode, hopefully.
We'll see. Fingers
But
crossed.
Who knows? I mean, it's better. It's definitely picked up. I'd still say the last episode was probably the best.
Episode 5.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it's still, I mean, my hands aren't sore from clapping. Let's just say that.
Yeah. I didn't even stand up, clapped once, and then left the theater, let's say.
Yeah. A nice
And that
little-
clap was more of like a slap on my knees, like, all right,
Well,
let's
all right.
go.
Finally. All right.
Yeah. Chris,
Yes.
I watched something brand new that came out today, or maybe yesterday.
Yes.
The Penguin. Yes.
Me too,
How did
Steve.
you like it, Christopher?
I liked it better than Rings of Power, believe it or not. I thought it
I
was
believe it.
good. I thought Colin Farrell does a great job. I think he's a great penguin here. I'm going to really try not to compare this to Rings of Power, but I'm sure I will. But it's like one episode in, you know the main character, you understand their motivations, why they're doing this. You're not really necessarily like rooting for them, but you're not really rooting against them. But like you understand, like, all right, why are they doing this? And something I like about this is the main character is a villain, but there's still like redeeming qualities about him.
Yeah.
I remember talking about Trap a few weeks back, and like one of my main qualms is, all right, it's fine to have the main character as like a villain, but you got to at least give me some sort of things where I'm like, all right, I understand where they're coming from. Penguin, you know, he's nice to his mom. He doesn't kill the boy here. And he kind of takes him under his wing. He sees a little bit of himself in there. And then also it's like, he's not going against good people. He's going against other villain crime bosses.
Yeah.
So it's like, you don't really feel bad rooting for him because I'm like, well, they're all they're all bad. I might as well root for this main guy on screen here.
Mm-hmm.
Thought it was entertaining. It starts off not directly in it, but not like terribly slow. But after 10 minutes, and then he pops the guy, and you're like, all right. Then I'm like invested here.
Yeah.
But what'd you think, Steve?
Yeah, no, I totes agree, bruh. I think it's pretty engaging from the start. I think Colin Farrell does a really engaging job. He's got a quite a fun accent chewing on scenery, you know. He's got it's kind of a quasi Brooklyn accent. You know, my friend Tommy Two Shoes, we called him Two Shoes because he would always wear two shoes, you know what I'm saying? I think he's just having a lot of fun with it. I have here in my notes, should get that foot checked out. And fun fact about that's Colin Farrell just committed to the bit.
Oh.
Because he just asked the producers to smash his foot in with a sledgehammer.
Yeah. Speaking of smashed feet, did you know in the Two Towers?
Don't you dare get out of here with that. I set you up. Good job. Good job spiking that ball.
Thank
but no,
you.
I think
All right.
Penguin, I've never seen like a mafia show or like a Sopranos kind of deal. So this is kind of my first entry into this kind of world, and I like it a lot. I think it's pretty engaging. I like the world of the Batman. They do a good job of capturing that aesthetic, and Colin Farrell's really fun to watch. So if you're not on board yet, if you haven't on the fence, I'd say give it a good watch. The first episode's pretty good. So
Yeah. And remind me, because I saw the Batman when it came out in theaters years back. How does Falcone die again?
the Riddler snipes him from the crow's nest.
Ah, okay. All
Probably.
right. I was trying to remember.
Tell me if I'm wrong, commenters. I
yeah,
don't know.
let me know in the comment. I do got another movie I actually forgot. I watched this last night, Steve. Now, it's called The Substance.
I saw a trailer for that. That movie's out already?
Yeah, it just came out.
Okay.
So my wife, she watched it 2 nights ago, came home, and she is known for kind of spoiling something. She'll be like, no. I'm like, please, let's just not talk about it. No spoilers. She's like, no, I'm not going to spoil. Let me just say this one thing.
the end is going to be the exact opposite of what you think. And I'm like, well, that's kind of, spoil, like, or she'll be like, no, I just thought Colin Farrell is a great villain. I'm like, well, in the trailer, it seems like he's the good guy, like things like that. So, but she actually, it was kind of weird. She held firm. She was like, I want you to see it. I'm not going to say nothing about it. And I'm like, really? And normally she does, but she zipped her lip. I go and watch it. I know nothing about this film. Never seen a trailer, never heard. I just know it's got Demi Moore.
Mm-hmm.
And I sit through this thing and, oh man, where do I begin here? Basically the concept is Demi Moore is older and she wants a young looking self, and they give some substance where she takes it and then she gets like a younger version of herself and they have to switch back and forth. And I'm like, it's kind of an interesting concept or whatever.
Sure.
I'm like, it's not bad. But you ever seen the movie Tusk?
Yeah. With Justin Long?
I never seen it, but I assume it's similar in the sense where it's just like, it's so silly. And there's a lot of like, I never really understood the concept of a body horror.
Mm-hmm.
But would you say Tusk is a body horror film?
Yes. Let me ask you this. With Substance, you compare the two. So I'll ask you, in Substance, does a man get sewn into a walrus skin suit?
I'm not spoiling, but something pretty similar. Actually, eerily similar.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which, I'm not a queasy man. Like, I don't even get spooked, really. But this movie, I was getting sick. A lot of the body horror stuff, I was not a fan. I was just like, what did you make me watch? Just imagine, like, Drag Me to Hell, which I like, but times 10 of the, like, gross parts of it. But yeah. Anyways, so I wasn't into it. I could see if you're watching it with a group of people and you're all kind of like there getting grossed out and whatever together, like that could be fun. Maybe if I was even just watching it with the old wife, But in this theater, it was literally just me and one other like middle-aged woman. So it's just complete silence the entire film, and it made me uncomfortable. And I don't get the body horror. It doesn't do it for like it doesn't work for me. I'm not into it. So if you're into it, let me know in the comments what's appealing about it. Apparently my wife's into it. She was like, it makes me react, and I guess she's into it, but I'm like, yeah. So I'd probably boo that for a solid 4 minutes.
Oof, okay.
I might be in the minority because it's got 88% audience. It got 11 minutes standing ovation.
Ugh.
I guess I'm the crazy one, but it wasn't for me, Steve. And I think it's safe to say I don't think it'd be for you neither.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like it. I'm not much of a body horror fan. I think it's just, I don't consider that entertaining. I just like, no, thank you. So thanks for saving me, Chris.
Yeah, you're
Appreciate
welcome.
it.
Can I just say one more announcement before I forget?
Sure.
So if you remember a few weeks back, we kind of made a little pledge, a little promise, a little incentive, if you will. With our pop heads that, hey, if we get to 700 subs, we're going to sit through, we're going to watch Extended, we're going to go to Zack Snyder's book club, we're going to do all of this for Rebel Moon Extended Edition. And I was just checking, we're at 684.
Ooh.
Now, let me do some quick math here. I think that means we're about what?
16 away
16
from doom,
away.
from sudden death.
And by the time this releases would be, what, the 22nd? So you'd have 8 days. But anyways, should we dive into the film we watched this week, Steve?
Let's dive in. First off, we did a poll because we're like, what movie should we talk about this week? And on Instagram and the YouTube, we said, what do we want to watch? We gave the options of Transformers, Killer's Game, Uglies, and Speak No Evil. At the time, on Instagram and YouTube, Speak No Evil was ahead. And so you saw it, I saw it, and then when I came home, I looked at my phone, Killer's Game, and shot up in popularity. So if there's still demand for it. Maybe if there's an off week, we can watch it. But we did indeed see Speak No Evil.
You know what, Steve? Sorry to cut you off. I did forget. I did watch another movie.
Oh, gosh dang it, Christopher.
I watched Killer's Game. It's hard to keep track, man. So many films. Quick on that.
I mean, we can go more into that. That one's actually pretty solid. I'd stand up. Honestly, I don't really remember what my rating system is, but I'd give that a 5-minute standing O. It's 2 steps below John Wick. So it's
really
like John Wick. That's my
bread and butter.
My eighth wonder. That's my Mona Lisa here. And I'd say like 1 step below a John Wick. That you're talking like what's that one with
Monkey Man?
Better Call Saul?
Oh, Nobody.
That's your even like Roadhouse. I'll probably watch this again before Monkey Man. My wife liked it too. She liked it for the romance part. I thought it was pretty fun action. It's kind of like doesn't take itself too serious. It's not one I'd recommend paying to see, but as soon as it hits streaming, go ahead, pop that on. It's not a bad watch. I thought it was kind of interesting. It does have Rebel Moon girl as the
sure.
Yeah.
Main girl, Rebel Moon.
And so like a part of me, I think, was kind of getting a little PTSD whenever she's on screen, I will admit. But other than that, it's kind of fun. But yeah, diving into that.
Now are you ready, Christopher,
to
dive
in? You'll remind me of another movie I watched. But keep going here, Steve.
All right. Well, first off, if you are a fan of horror or thrillers and you're on the fence about this, I'll say now, I think it's better to go in completely blind and just have a grand old time. And also, if you haven't seen a trailer for it, try to not see a trailer for it either.
Welcome
I know
to
it's probably
0.00001% of the earth that hasn't seen this trailer 80 times already.
Well, that's this section's just for you, that person. Anyway, short story, I quite enjoyed this, Christopher.
Really?
Did you like it?
I feel like you're setting up for a bit here.
No bits. You didn't like it?
I liked it. I got like a 45-minute rant on the trailer and all that. But I think if I had never seen the trailer, it's a pretty solid. I'd say it's better than your Bye Bye Man. I'd stand up, give it a 5-minute clap. I thought McAvoy's good and entertaining, kind of spooky. Just don't watch the bloody trailer. If you do, you basically seen the movie. But
so I guess just to give a quick little synopsis, there's a couple, family A, there are a couple of Americans with about a 12-year-old daughter. They're visiting Italy. They meet another couple about their age. They have a son about the same age as their daughter, and that is James MacCovoy and his wife. Things are going pretty well. They are hitting it off. They're eating dinner. They're bloody making poop jokes, and it's all right in the world. And then the American couple goes back home. They're living in London, but they go back home, and then they get a card from James, and he's like, "Hey, come visit my seaside farm, and we'll have a grand old time." Without spoiling, they have anything but a grand old time.
Yeah.
Pretty much the premise of it. Can we just dive into spoilers? Because I got a lot to say.
Yes, I've got a lot. This is probably the most notes I'd taken on a film, Steve.
Okay, so let's start. Do you want to start with cons?
Yes.
And then finish with some pros?
Let's
I bet you got some
talk about
cons.
the bloody trailer. Of course I'm a bloody doctor.
Of course I'm a bloody doctor.
I've seen this. How many times do you think you've seen this trailer? I think I'm not joking. I've probably seen it over 30 times.
Oh, well, yeah. Who goes to the theater like 8 times a week?
Every single movie I've gone for the past, and like this is literally when I first started my Regal back with like Furiosa, I think was the first movie. And I remember the first time I saw the trailer, I'm like, it looks pretty good, Trying to think of some meme where it just keeps happening, and then I turn into the Homelander sitting in the theater. But it's just like I've seen this trailer so much, I could recite it word for word. I know exactly this, and then they're like, I remember literally thinking, like, I'm sitting to watch this movie, and I'm just, like, waiting. I'm like, all right, when's the Speak No Evil? And then it never happened. And I was like, oh, hey. And I was like, oh, that's right. I'm watching this movie. Like, that's a great part. I was just like, I can't stand the bloody trailer. And I remember before seeing the movie, I saw the trailer, and it basically gives away the whole movie. So,
yeah.
Should we just do a plot spoiling the movie, just adding a little, like, not super in depth, but they go there. Turns out James McAvoy's crazy. The boy can't talk, and the reason he can't talk is because his tongue is cut off, which they show in the trailer. Which I get. It's like it's a cool part of the trailer, but it's literally like the main.
That's the
twist.
whole thing. Like, you spoil everything.
It's really cool in the trailer because he does the scissor thing, and it
showing he's cutting off his tongue, and it matches with the trailer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the main thing. And then also it's like, all right, obviously these people are crazy, and then they try and kill him at the end, and they don't succeed. Like that's, I mean,
that's pretty much it.
There's different things throughout it, but
I guess the biggest spoil is that James MacCovoy and his wife, they do this to unsuspecting travelers and tourists. They make friends with them, and then they find one who has a young child. They invite him to their murder home, and then they force him to, stick him up, give me all your money, give me all your money. And, he gives the old tried and true line, of course I'm a bloody doctor. And,
of course
I'm going to throw that into normal conversations from now on.
I know.
Apropos of nothing, just, of course I'm a bloody doctor.
Of course I'm a bloody doctor.
They've been doing this for presumably years because they have a whole treasure trove of all these different families that they do this to. Yeah, it's quite engaging, but if we're talking cons, I have just a couple few, and that is the third act, to me, was not as strong as the first two, just because it has this build-up that we'll talk about in the pros, but the conclusion, it's kind of like not to say it's bad. This is a remake, a retelling of a 2022 film. Did you know that?
I did.
Have you seen the 2022 version?
I haven't, but
I have, Christopher.
You seen it before this?
I did. I saw it with the Indian Man, if you know what I mean.
Ah, yes.
And
what'd you think?
Listen, it's almost a one-for-one translation because I think it's a Danish film, and the first two acts are pretty much the same, almost down to like the same shots, right?
Uh-huh.
But there's slight things in the third act that change. But I do think the 2024 does better than the 2022 version. It has a better crazy person. James MacCovoy is better in that. But long story short, the 2022 version, the couple who is kidnapping these children, hide your wife, hide your kids, they get away with it in the end.
Oh,
and
so
how it
a
ends
little
is
different, huh?
Yeah, how it ends is very somber. It leaves you just kind of disheveled in the end because they force the parents into this ravine and they just throw rocks at them until they die. And it ends. That's how they do this.
Oh, yeah.
That's how the movie ends. And it's just like, oh, gosh. And presumably they continue this cycle of kidnapping children.
Take the kid then at the
tongues.
end?
Yep.
Do they
take the daughter.
There a boy with the cut off tongue?
Yep.
Is he still alive, or they kill him too and replace?
They kill him, and then they switch him for the new model, and they just the cycle keeps going. So it's quite harrowing, if you ask me.
Is it one of those movies you watch and you just feel rotten for days?
Absolutely, because you're like, for a day afterwards, I was like, because this kind of stuff probably happens in real life, and it's just made me feel not good. But
I'll say the movie that does that the worst. If you ever just want to feel rotten, you ever seen Eden Lake with Michael Fassbender?
No, and now I don't want to.
It's a very interesting movie, but it's entertaining, but it'll make you feel rotten. Comment below if you know exactly what I mean here. But back to you, Steve.
I think going back to slight cons, it was maybe just a smidge. I'll take your con.
Yeah.
Just a smidge and a page.
I didn't even put
long.
that in my cons because I already had too many. I didn't even want to bother.
What cons did you have, Chris?
Well, let me just go back to this trailer here. So
harp on that trailer.
I'm just going to keep harping on the trailer. So I'm sick of the bloody trailer. It spoils the whole movie. And as I'm watching the movie, like I've seen the trailer so much, and I'm like, all right, this is a scene where she's like, oh, I got neck pain, and I'm like, oh, he's about to have him do a cold water plunge, and then he's gonna say, oh, don't be ashamed, you got a great body, and then of course the doctor line, I'm like, oh, she's in the kitchen, she's about to cut herself, and like it felt like I'd watched the movie before because I'm like, all right, this I remember this part happened. I was like, wait, I haven't seen this movie, but it's like the whole time is doing that. And so I was trying to picture myself if I hadn't seen the trailer, would I still be able to guess all that's happening? And I think it would be hard not to guess. Like, it's pretty easy to see that the boy is like normal and he's kidnapped. Even if I hadn't seen the trailer, you kind of get that because he's like trying to, show her and all this. And I think it would have been a lot better if they had the boy more creepy and like you kind of think he's creepy like the couple.
Yeah.
Versus
like he's playing with a dead bird or something.
Yeah. Like something like that. I feel like that was a missed opportunity. And the trailer, it's a main con, but I don't really blame the director. I'm not exactly, I assume the director's not the one like, oh, let's put this together and put this in the trailer. But it just seemed like I imagine someone putting together a really cool short film. All right, put it in a trailer. And then the producers are like, all right, we'll stretch this out for 2 hours here, an hour or 40. And just like, it seemed like they made the trailer. These are all the key points. Now let's just add to it.
Mm-hmm.
I just bloody hated the trailer here. And then...
Wait, you did? I didn't know.
Oh,
I don't know how you felt about that. Yeah.
Another thing I hated, the freaking husband. I hated him with the
Chris,
fiery passion.
There exists in the male hierarchy, there's sigmas, there's alphas, there's betas, and then there's cucks.
Yeah, and that's
what this guy
man.
is.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my goodness.
Because it starts off and you're like, you feel bad for him because you find out the wife, they say, he's like, she didn't really cheat, but she was, sexting other men, which I'd say that's cheating if you ask me, but
yeah.
And you're like, this poor guy. And then also she's like, they're at dinner and she's like, oh, this guy would be lucky to get laid once a month. And I'm like, this poor guy. I mean, I feel bad for him. But then the more you get to know him, I'm like, I'm never an advocate for cheating, but if ever there was a man that deserved it, it's this freaking guy.
Yeah.
Because let's see, I wrote down some. I'm sure there's many I'm missing, but he's stupid, first of all. He's a coward. I get, for the movie to work, you got to have the people like, no, you're being crazy. But, he does that. But it's like, all right, they find out these people are insane, gonna kill him. And they get, it's also in the trailer in case you missed it. Like, all right, we need to calm down, got to act natural. Exact same thing in the trailer. And the wife, she's smart and she looks around. She gets like a cutter. The husband's just like, doesn't find any sort of weapon, doesn't use any sort of common sense. And you'd think, all right, the wife found a weapon. She'll give it to the husband here. Like, not being a gender role kind of guy, but like just physics here. Like you probably, the husband has a better shot of winning an altercation than the wife. And it's not like she's, a fighter or anything. She's just like a normal wife.
Yeah.
So he doesn't do any of that. So she's got the box cutter. There's a part where they get back in the house and they're getting attacked by James MacCovoy, McAvoy's wife, and McAvoy's
the
chef. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, they hear someone on the roof. So the doors are locked and they hear someone on the roof. So the husband goes up by himself, which again, like I get horror film, not going to use the best logic, but like, wouldn't you want to stick together here?
Yeah.
Versus, all right, I guess I'll take upstairs, you take down. He goes up there, he hides in the closet, and the chef is like sneaking past. The husband's got like a hammer, I believe. And it's like a perfect, he's past me, he doesn't know I'm here. I can just get him from behind, easy kill shot, hit that, push the trigger down and Call of Duty knife him, one hit kill, right?
Yeah.
But what does he do? He waits until the wife and kids run up there and the chef shoots at him. Would have hit him, except it was a mirror and it was their reflection. And then he waits and charges the guy. Ends up losing the fight, even though the guy didn't even know he was
drop
there.
On him, yeah.
He had to drop on him, had a hammer. He's about to get killed. Wife has to come save him. All right. Now they do that. Now they're getting on the roof. Husband's about to die again from the McAvoy's wife. Oh, mom has to save him there. And then like the one heroic thing he does is like jump off the roof to like
break his ankle
to move the ladder. But I'm like, at that point, you killed two of the three. McAvoy, he's got like chemicals all in his face. He's a little discombobulated. Might as well
just drop a brick on his head.
Yeah, like just go down there and then just walk out. But he's like, no, now I'm going to be a hero. And he jumps off, breaks his ankle, and then moves the ladder. All right, people come down. The first one down is his 11-year-old daughter, and he's like, hey, go run, meet us at the car. And I'm like, why would you have her go by herself to the car? Like what? Like a normal person to be like, all right, let's wait here till all of us are here and let's group up, let's go here. And then naturally, since she's off by herself, McAvoy gets a hold of her. Yeah. And a little shout out to my wife here, because she saw this before me and she was like, I made the whole theater laugh. And I was like, oh, oh, what was it? And she's like, I won't say the joke because I'm not spoiling it. She's really getting better at this non-spoiler. But the part after where he could have killed McAvoy, and you're like, oh, it looks like he's about to kill him, which, I mean, I've never been in this situation, but I'm like, if a man's literally trying to murder, and like literally 10 seconds ago, he was about to kill my like 11-year-old, like, hey, let's just make sure the guy's, I'm down for a little double tap here, but he like looks at him and he's like, nah, just keep walking. And then the boy that had been their prisoner, he takes a brick and starts going ham and smashing him in the face over and over. And my wife in her theater, she said they were laughing, and she gets this one-liner, "You think he's dead?" And they're like, "Oh!"
That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
But yeah, those are my main cons.
Yeah, no, I get your frustration, Christopher, with this just pansy of a man, but I think that is one of the strengths of the movie, in my opinion, is that as you're watching this movie, me, myself as a father and as a husband, there's no limit to what I wouldn't do for my family, right?
Yes.
But so watching that just sad excuse for a husband and father made me emote in ways that I haven't before in a theater experience, because so many times, right, there were so many times leading up to those things where I was like, nope, I'm out. Chief of which, right from the get-go, I'm not letting my daughter ride on a moped with a stranger.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That was the first no-no. And also, I have a conscience and can tell that this guy is just bad news bear. He's a bloody, of course he's a doctor, first of all, but from the get-go, you just can sense that something's not right with this guy. But this father, the patriarch of this family, didn't care or didn't notice. Either way, he's a bad dad.
I'm is a bad dad.
I don't like to parent shame, but he's a bad dad.
Yep.
I'll say it live on air.
His wife should leave him. His daughter should never speak to him again.
Yeah. The best thing about this movie, like I said, the first 2 acts, it really builds that tension. It just keeps like kind of chipping away at people's comfort level. It just does it so well where I had my face in my hands, bloody. Had my hands on my cheeks, and I was just so stressed. It was infuriating is the word I would use. There's so many times where you could just be like, oh, we got to go. Let's just go. Let's leave. Doesn't matter. Leave your bloody stuffed animal. I'll buy you a new one. Doesn't matter. Like, let's just go. I think the strongest aspect of this movie, in addition to the tension, is James MacCovoy being able to build that tension, right? He kills it. Bloody another fantastic performance out of our good friend James, because you believe every time from when he started on screen, it slowly deteriorates into what he really is. And I love seeing that slow kind of descent into madness. And I think he kills it, just being able to come off as engaging and like friendly at first, but that you see a little bit of cracks in the walls there. He just does a great job, I thought. It's kind of like a boiling of a frog. You know that metaphor?
Oh, yeah. Slowly, yeah. Get comfortable. And
yeah. He does like small little digs at his wife, Pansy Boy's wife.
Yes.
That you're like, if someone would have said that to my wife, I would have been like, hey, apologize, or I'm going to kick you in the nuts, But this guy just doesn't. The reason you're so scared at the end is because James spends an hour and a half building up this insane man. So like when the time comes for the metaphorical fecal matter to hit the fan, you feel it,
Yes.
And I think it's really effective, and I like that quite a bit.
Something I did like, there's a part where they're about to leave, and they literally pack up the car and they're driving away. And then the daughter's like, oh, my teddy bear. I left my teddy bear. And you're like, turn around. And like the normal movie, you're like, you idiots, don't go back. But something this had is like, there's the boy that's hostage. So I'm like, I remember I thought the same thing where I'm like, you idiots. And then I was like, I do feel bad for that boy. And like, I probably care more about him than these parents, especially the dad.
Yeah.
So I'm like, yeah, like you wanted them to stick around. And it's like, there's even parts where they're about to leave a second time and you're like, boy's not in the car with them. And like, how are they going to get this boy? Like, it kind of gives you that element, which isn't in a lot of, not really in most horror movies. So I really like that part of it. And like you said, the tension, got some good tension.
I think also another actor that needs to be recognized is Mackenzie Davis, who plays the mom.
Oh, yeah.
I think she did a pretty good job. You feel her kind of uneasiness and everything. And when it does hit the fan, Christopher, she does pretty good job at emotions just on the surface, where if you were in that situation, you would be hysterical. And she does a good job of acting hysterical, but also trying to keep a level head and like trying to think logically. So I think she did a good job at that as well.
Yeah, I like this scene. Yeah, when they're trying to leave and they're like, all right, try to act natural. And she's like talking to the daughter because their story there is like, oh, it's her first period. She's kind of freaking out. Hey, all right, it's okay to be like this way. We still want to be calm, but like for you, Remember, we were trying to do this. And I thought like that was more of like a realistic, like to me, this is more of a realistic how people would handle a situation. Like it's not something crazy where the mom goes like psycho mode and is just like guns down all the people, or the dad turns into Rambo. It's more of like, all right, this is how like people are gonna freak out, and we're trying to be normal, trying to like, and very tense. Yeah, that whole like from there to like they get out and they're getting ready for the car. Oh, there's a flat tire, and it's just like very unnerving. The dad's climbing up the ladder to get the teddy bear, and you got McAvoy holding the base of it. And I think it was a good movie. My wife, she saw it before me, and she's a horror nut, and she is like, I didn't like it. I hated it. So I didn't really have high expectations. But her main hate is kind of what the whole trailer. She was like, I already knew what happened. And I mean, I've griped enough about it. But as far as like a movie itself, it's a good movie. I'd say it's an above average thriller horror flick.
Yeah, definitely. I think there's a sequence that really just kind of made me audibly go like, James McAvoy gets the family together and he's like give him all this money and stuff. And the dad asks, why are you doing this to us? And James McAvoy says, because you let us.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, because it's true. Like these people, they wanted to stand on ceremony, if you will, and just be polite, didn't want to overstep their bounds. And James and his wife took advantage of that. And I was like, yeah, so let's like in situations, be rude. If you're gut's telling you this guy ain't it, just say, hey, I'm out of here, But I want to pose a question to you, Christopher.
Yes.
If you were in that situation, your family was there doing all this, I want to know how you would handle a James McAvoy coming after you. I know a logical sense you would be out of there first, chance you get. But say your daughter had to go back to eat her stuffed animal. What are you doing?
First of all, I wouldn't go back I wouldn't care about the stuffed animal. I'd make up some lie. Oh, yeah, Tooth Fairy took it, he's borrowing it, gonna give it a nice bath here, delivering it here. But if I had to, and I know he's crazy, and like he's coming after me or what?
Like, let's just say it's you going back in there and he's like, oh, you're just looking for the doll, and because you remember they go back to get the doll, but they also know that something's not right.
Yes. So like how am I smooth talking my way with James?
Yeah, are you smooth talking? Are you just going to bust in there guns blazing with a hammer?
Oh, I'm smooth talking. She's really prejudiced against your kind. She's schizophrenic. She's having an episode here. Nothing you guys did, but we forgot her medication and we got to go back and get it. I'm trying to smooth talk my way. I don't think one-on-one I'd put up a fight for the family, but I mean, me versus James McAvoy, I got no shot here.
You lose that battle.
Yeah.
You lose that battle 9 times out of 10. Yeah. Yeah.
How about you, Steve? What are you doing here?
You leave the kids behind the gate. First of all, leave the wife and kid behind the gate, and you find a weapon. You get into his shed. You get strapped just in case, and then you try to smooth talk him. And James, being James, he'll try to get you, docile and everything. Yeah. But if it turns sour, I got no problem pulling a Gus Fring on him, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah. All this to say, Chris, very much enjoyed this movie and highly recommend it to those who are horror or thriller nuts.
Yes.
But that's all I got. It's a long episode.
Standing and clapping here?
Probably a solid 4 or 5 minutes, maybe.
Yeah, I think I'll stand 4 minutes on business here.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, that's all I got, Christopher. If you're still listening, thanks so much for listening. Be sure to subscribe and follow us. We got Twitter, LinkedIn, bios, and stuff and things. And
a lot of things. But yeah, thanks for listening and have a good week. Bye.
Bye.
Popcorn, stale popcorn.
Popcorn. Pop. This is the
Stale popcorn.
Popcorn.